I deem it a great privilege to introduce Dr. Hitendra Mahajan from Nasik, India. He's a consultant anesthesiologist in Medicover Hospital, Nasik branch. He's also known for his several accolades across the globe. He got the special appreciation from our Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, when he mentioned in his Maan Ki Baat and by felicitating him in person with National Appreciation Award at the Delhi office. Presenting to you Dr. Hitendra Mahajan.
Respected dignitaries, and all my friends from Ganga family. It's really proud privilege for me to be here. I'm thankful to Dr. Bala Venkat sir, close friend and a mentor. And today he has given me the topic near-death experience on Mount Everest. Actually, I don't want to scare you, but then purpose of letting you know regarding my mission and where I had a near-death experience is just to show you that never give up attitude in any situation. And if you develop that attitude, I don't think anything can stop you from achieving anything. As you can see in this is a beautiful picture from a base camp of Mount Everest. That is Everest base camp.
I'm Dr. Hitendra Mahajan, anesthesiologist.
Hi friends, I'm Dr. Mahendra Mahajan. I'm dentist. Sea to Sky Expedition.
Unique mission of cycling, trekking and mountaineering. Friends, in this mission,
we will be cycling from Mumbai, Gateway of India, from sea level up to Kathmandu, crossing our entire country. From there, we will be trekking to Everest Base Camp, and from Everest Base Camp, we will be climbing the summit, that is Mount Everest.
And propagate CPR, that is cardiac arrest life-saving skills.
So this is how this event got born, Sea to Sky Expedition, on which we ventured with the aim of taking this tricolor flag on the top of Mount Everest, that is world's tallest. Difficulties, of course, there were difficulties of cycling from, as we were starting from sea level, we wanted to go on a bicycle till Kathmandu, and then altitude, temperature, thin air. We all know that the oxygen concentration is very low on the top of Mount Everest, and of course the finances. But then we started beating one by one. There was 12 months with us. We started with our rigorous training of hill climbing and then core building in the gym. Cycle training was going on along with the profession of anesthesia itself. On 31st of March, we were flagged off from the Gateway of India, that is sea level. And from there, for next 5 days, we were cycling from crossing Nasik, Dhule, Indore, Bhopal, Jhansi, Kanpur, Lucknow, Butwal, and we reached Kathmandu. On the way, we conducted, as our social goal was there, to create awareness about COL and CPR. So we were conducting a lot of hands-on workshop on the road at toll plazas and in the schools and at colleges and various places, along with cycling. Once we reached at Kathmandu, which is at the 1400 meters level, from here onward, our movement is restricted by proper acclimatization, which is very important. Our body should get adapted to that height because we were aiming to go to 8848 meters. And stepwise approach and gradual height gain is very important. As you can see in this picture, we were starting our trekking from Lukla, and from there Namchi Bazaar, Dingboche. We were like gaining height slowly and reach this Everest base camp. And our plan was to stay there at Everest base camp for 1 month and then attempt climbing Mount Everest. But when you want to go from base camp like this, Camp 1, which is at 6100 meters, Camp 2, then Camp 3, 7200 meters, like this, gradually we have to climb. But before going to that height, we need to take our body at least to 7000 meters twice and then come back again. And then after getting proper acclimatization, you can attempt to reach there. So on 7th of April, we started from Kathmandu. We landed at Lukla, one of the dangerous airport in this world. And from there, we started trekking towards Everest base camp. On the way at Namchi Bazaar, we got the first glimpse of Mount Everest. I was so thrilled to see that. First time I saw Mount Everest with my eyes, and then I decided that yes, down the line 1 month I'll be on the top of Mount Everest. Can you see it's surrounded by the clouds all the time? That is actually not a cloud, but it's the wind which is blowing the snow. On 18th April, we reached at the base camp. After reaching there at the base camp, we involved ourselves into the training, ice skills, and crevasse crossing training. And then 22nd of April, we started for our first height gain along the Khumbu Glacier. Even though you are well trained and mentally prepared, but when you step on the crevasses to cross it first time, it sends thrills down your spine, believe me, friends. But later on, you get accustomed to it. This is how the Khumbu Glacier is, most dangerous place on this earth, because there are big ice walls and seracs and crevasses. Crevasses are so deep, even if you fall there, there's no chance of coming out of those crevasses. And then on that day, we climbed up to the Khumbu Glacier top and then came back. And then 29th, again, we came for a acclimatization height gaining. This time we crossed Khumbu Glacier, we reached Camp Base, Camp 1, we stayed there. Then we went to Camp 2 after crossing crevasses. You can see in this picture some crevasses we need to climb straight holding the rope. Some crevasses we need to go down, find a breach and climb on another wall. So by doing this, we reached on the Camp 2 it is at the height of 6,400 meters. We rested there, let our body get acclimatized, and then our aim was to reach at 7,200 meters at Camp 3. In this picture, you can see this Camp 2. We left Camp 2 in the morning. This is the most risky slope of 70 gradient Lhotse phase. We were climbing that. By climbing that, holding the rope, we have to not only face the gradient and hard ice, but we have to face the wind which keeps on coming from top of the Mount Everest. If someone slides here, a single mistake, you can slide down till Camp 2. Obviously, you will not be alive with that. So you have to be very careful while climbing such. And at that altitude, you are tired, but you need to remain focused. On 12th of April, we went back to base camp. This time, the base camp was totally different. We were waiting for a good weather window for a final summit push to the top of Mount Everest. Every evening it used to snow a lot. It used to cover my entire tail, but I was proud. Continuously, I was looking at this flag, which was keeping me motivated that yes, I have to climb whatever may be the weather, or I have to take this tricolor on the top of Mount Everest, which was helping me to keep myself motivated even in this dull, bad weather atmosphere. Unfortunately, this time we were getting only one weather window, and that was projected by the weather experts that it will be on a 22nd. So all the climbers who were waiting there at the base camp, they, instead of getting spread out, now as there was only one single window, everyone decided to attempt, and we were expecting that yes, it will be a crowd, especially at bottleneck place where we need to crevices or at the step like Hillary step, but then there was no choice. So accordingly, we decided to attempt it on the 22nd of May. And then on 18th May, we started going towards our final attempt. Our first aim was to go directly to Camp 2. As we were acclimatized, so we can directly jump from base camp to the Camp 2. We went there, we rested there for one day. On 20th, we started our journey towards Camp 3, crossing this Lhotse phase. We had been here 1 month back for acclimatization, so it was not that difficult, but one has to be very careful. As it became dark, you can see the beautiful, all this headlight torch of all the climbers, and it was quite fun going up. You can see how hard the ice is. All the time you need to attach yourself to this rope and keep climbing up and up in a row. And facing all this difficulty, another thing what is, even though you are climbing in the night, you need to protect your eyes wearing the goggle. And as I said, anything goes away from your body gets frozen. And at two spots, what happened with me was I was not able to clip my carabiner to the rope, and then I need to remove my goggle, which are ski goggle, because it restricts the vision also. And while doing that, I forgot my goggle on a forehead, forgot to take it down as it was dark. And then when I realized, that time it was too late, and when I realized that I reshifted my goggle from my forehead to the eyes, then I realized that it is already crusted, covered with the ice crust, which was very difficult to remove. And then it just sent a thought in my mind that I should not develop snow blindness, because even though it is a dark time, ultraviolet rays are with a high concentration and they penetrate your cornea, they can affect your retina, and at the same time, cold wind which keeps on blowing, it blows the small snowflakes also, which can damage your cornea. So I was stuck up in a position where I lost my first goggle. I had given my extra goggle to the Sherpa, and my goggle which I was carrying got covered with. Somehow I kept walking towards summit, crossing this reach, this Hillary step. I met my brother at Hillary step. I sort of knows, and everything gets frozen. And that's how we have to fight it. But fighting all the odds with everyone's blessing, my brother reached at the summit at 5:30 a.m. and myself, I reached at the summit with this tricolor at 8 a.m. It was really a great moment. It was like a dream come true. After reaching there, you realize that why you are here, because that is the place where you feel like you are in heaven. You feel like you are so near to the God. You feel thankful to everyone who helped you to reach at this point to fulfill your long dream of reaching on the top of Mount Everest. I was very elated, glad, and then we clicked a lot of photographs there, and then we started moving down. My Sherpa and hardly we crossed 100 meters, and then I realized that there is a burning sensation in my eyes, and suddenly everything started becoming white. And the fear which was there in my mind that I should not develop snow blindness, and I realized that I had developed that snow blindness. First reaction was I just sat on the ground at that altitude. I thought that it will be highly impossible for me to descend this Mount Everest blindly. And I told my Sherpa, you go, I am happy here. You know, at that altitude, you don't even feel the pain of death, no fear at all. But within a fraction of a second, the thought of my son came to my mind, who was at the age of just few hours when he was born. He developed a respiratory distress, and for which we have to put him on a ventilator, and he fought for 4 days at that tiny age and emerged out successfully. And that thought came to my mind, and I said, Hitendra, if your son at that tiny age can fight and come back, you have got no reason to sit here and die. If I sit here, definitely in the next 24 hours, I'm going to die. But then, if I try, okay, it may happen that while descending that risky ridges, I may fall and die, but it's okay. At least people will say I tried myself. And I got up and I told my Sherpa, let's go down. I need your help. Sherpa said, yes, sir, I'm there with you. We will go down. He tied my self-anchor to his self-anchor, and we started descending. This was the ridge which I wanted to decide blindfoldedly. But believe me, my friends, taking first step was difficult. But after that, let me tell you, our brain is such a sensitive organ that we hardly use of it. And when taking first step was difficult for me, but after taking first step, I realized that all my senses are active, from the voice of my Sherpa, from the wind blowing directions, from the pressure, everything. I was keeping my feet like this, first heel, and then slowly letting my toes down, so that I was getting the sensation that how's the floor underneath my, whether it is how much inclination is there, declination is there, which side valley, which side this. I could start gazing from all these inputs, all these senses which I was getting. And with the help of my Sherpa, this is not like I didn't tumble. As you can see in this video, I used to tumble, I fall, but then I was at least step by step, started descending towards lower camp 4. I know here when I came down, and later on I realized that many of my friends were worried about my health. Obviously it was, but everyone was praying. And then, believe me, it took me 10 hours to descend from summit, which usually we do in 2 hours. It took me 10 hours to come down to Camp 4, but with the power of love and blessings which you were sending me, all those positive vibes, they were reaching me, empowering me, and letting me come down. And successfully, I could descend to Camp 10 at the night, 8 o'clock. And then next day, we descended to Camp 2, where all my team members were waiting for us, my brother and myself. And from there, we were taken to base camp and Lukla 4. And at coming down to base camp, I realized that my fingers started turning numb. It was because I took a lot of time. It was not like I was without gloves or something, but as I took long time, 10 hours, it was more exposure, and that led to this thing. I realized that this is going to be turning into a frostbite. On 24th of May, I came to Lukla Hospital. From there, Kathmandu and Delhi and Nasik. I recovered back with few salines and prostaglandins and all these things. But then by 2nd of June, my fingers started turning black. It was like I was, for a moment or a fraction of a moment, I was like, what am I going to do with this finger? How I'm going to perform my anesthesia duties with this finger? But then I said, no, I'm not going to let it sit like that. And then, believe me, my friends, on 10th of June, I went back to the hospital with a black finger, like that only, and performed epidural spinal and even given a sonography guided block. And after giving that, I realized that, yes, okay, now nothing can stop me. Later on, I got underwent operation. One of my friend, Dr. Nete, he did wonderful job on my fingers. He gave me a free flap to the thinner flap to these 2 fingers, which is tactile innervated, and then left 3 fingers, there was the abdominal flap. And after that, I'm here in front of you. I'm working very well with all these fingers and performing all my duties, not only in anesthesia, OT, as well as in ICU. So what I gained out of that, I could set a good world record. There are only 3 people in this world who have done race across America, as well as who has been on the top of Mount Everest. One is from Austria, Wolfgang Faxing, and another 2 are in front of you, Dr. Hitendra and Mahendra Mahajan. And there are only 2 people in this world who has descended Mount Everest blindfoldedly from the summit One is Mr. Brent Dickinson from the USA, and another one is in front of you, Dr. Hitendra Mahajan. So, dear friends, never give up. Problems are not stationary. Just one, you have to decide that you don't have to become stationary with the problem. You have to keep moving. Problems are stationary, they remain there, and you emerged out of those problems with the blessings and positive vibes from all of you who were praying for me. I could come successfully with this near-death experience and with record. So I could transform this impossible into I am possible. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening to my story.